Now we're here at the last pentagon to be put in. Now I've made my string a little bit longer because we need some more slack, and at the end I've put a larger knot at the end because I'm not going to be able to wrap around and tighten it as I usually would. This knot is going to have to hold in the thread. Now, seeing how I've done it, let's go ahead and look at the bag, how it's going to be finally. So everything looks good on it. We're stitching it inside out. Now for this last panel, I noticed that I have some ends right here that I want to try to avoid. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and start on this panel right here, so that when I work around, I'm going to end on this panel right here. That way I'm not ending with these other knots that might get in the way. I'm just going to have them in my transition. So here I go. Here's my bright color to bright color, putting it in the center of the red triangle. And then every stitch is going to be exactly the same as it always has been, from the first to the second to last stitch. Only the last stitch is different. At this moment we're approaching our last side of the foot bag. Here we go. Now, the last side is the one that we need to be the most careful with, because it's the only side that's going to be different than all the rest. So as you can see, all the panels are stitched, and now we just have this last side. I'm careful not to have my thread close to the sides of the panel that I'll be stitching on. I'll go ahead and start it off as I normally would. I'm going to go ahead and go through the triangle, my last side. Now, go ahead and even it out. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my loop around the other side as I normally would. Now here's the difference. Every stitch has to be loosely done so that we can open up this last panel. So I'm going to keep that one not too tight, and then I'm going to start doing it as I normally would. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a little loop on the end. See that little loop right there? I'm going to leave that there. I'm not going to tighten it. On this side, I'm going to leave a loop here. There's that loop. Again, other side. Leave some slack there. There's some slack. Little loop. On our second one. There's two. On our pentagon side, a loop. Almost done. And here's our last one. 3 on the pentagon side. So now we have loops where we would usually tighten the stitches. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pass on through to the next triangle. Making sure not to tighten any of the loops into it. Alright, now here we are. Now as you can see on this last side here, I've left the loops on all the sewing that I've done. I've not tightened any of them. And I've passed through my last triangle. So now what we have to do is we have to flip the foot bag or ball inside out. So I'm going to go ahead and open it. Open it as much as we can. And I'm going to use this pin cap. Just open it. Now I'm going to choose to make sure I go in between the sewing and not in between the thread, because the thread is doubled, so we got to make sure we don't go in between the thread. Go ahead and stop it, I guess.